So welcome everyone to this webinar, advanced webinar of protocols.io. My name is Gabriel Gasque, and I am head of outreach. So as I mentioned previously, this presentation is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with all registered participants. This is an advanced webinar that assumes that the attendees are already familiar with the platform and know the basics. So I will not be covering the basics, but if you would like to get some basic training, you can visit the URLs at the bottom of this slide. The first one takes you to our schedule of regular webinars, one of which is always an introduction. And the second link will take you to a website where you can request a one-to-one demo in which you can ask any question that you might have about the platform, basic or advanced. Also, closed captioning is enabled in case you want to activate it. And we will save some time at the end for questions. I will be talking about for half an hour, 40 minutes, but you can start typing those questions right away in the chat or in the Q&A window of Zoom. This presentation will be mostly a live demo, so I don't really have slides for it, but here is what we will be covering. So I'm going to be offering you some tips and tricks to help you improve your protocols. And these are functionality that it might take you, a couple of months to figure them out on your own. So that's why I will present those tips and tricks for you now. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the file manager, how to import existing protocols. Then we're going to talk about the editor, about some of the cool components that we have, and we will discuss sharing, and we will have the Q&A at the end. So to begin, I'm going to take you to my own personal account in protocols.io, which is what you see on the screen right now. Just to orient ourselves, to the left, you can see the many workspaces to which I belong. If you already have an account in protocols.io, you probably have one or two workspaces, but I'm a member of many. And this specific one is my own personal private workspace that contains its main folder, suborganized with subfolders and some loose protocols. I created a folder for this presentation, which is this folder called Tips and Tricks, and is currently empty. So the first topic that we are going to cover today is how to bring to the platform existing protocols that I might already have in different formats. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And you can see here that in my hard drive, I have a series of documents. There is a folder that is called protocols. And you can see that I have a few protocols in different formats. So I have a PDF, a Word document, an Apple Pages, and text. So I'm going to open one of these protocols for you to see. This is the PDF. You can see the title, the abstract, and then a couple of sections with a few steps. So the easiest way for you to bring those existing protocols in any format to the platform is just to copy and drag them. So I can select the protocols and I'll just drag them to my file manager, and the protocols have been copied. This is a very easy way for you to centralize all your protocols in a single repository. And anyone who is member of your workspace will automatically have access to these documents. In addition, you can take any of these protocols and share them beyond the workspace by typing the email address. You can also share it with multiple workspaces. However, because these are not protocols created with the editor, you cannot publish any of these documents. Again, you cannot publish from protocols.io, PDFs, or Word documents. The second way for you to create a protocol out of these existing documents is to create an empty protocol and attach any of these documents to that empty protocol. So to create a new protocol, you go to the New button, you select New Protocol, and let's use, this is just a demo. I'm going to use today's date and number 1. So I could start adding steps, but that's not what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go to the description tab. And at the very bottom of the description tab, there is a space for me to attach a document. So I can take any of these protocols, let's select the PDF. I just drop it in this window. You can see the attachment here. And now, in addition to adding a title, it is important to add an abstract. Because if I want to publish this protocol, the abstract will make it more discoverable. So you can add an abstract here, type whatever you need to type. And then if I go to view my protocol, you will see that it has a title, the abstract, and it is empty, but it has the protocol as an attachment. However, because this is now a document created with the editor, I can publish it and get a DOI. However, because the protocol doesn't have steps, I cannot, it loses a lot of functionality. So I cannot make comments at the step level. I cannot run it. And if I wanted to improve it, create a new version, I will have to download the PDF, modify the PDF, and re-upload it. The same thing if I want to create a fork. Let's go to the file manager. You can see that we have the 4 documents that I just imported, plus the protocol that I created with the editor. Let's create a second protocol. And now I'm going to teach you how to import steps from an existing protocol. And this doesn't work for PDF. It only works for Word documents or text files. So I'm going to create a second protocol. I'm going to select the same folder. I'm going to add the date as part of the title. And then if I open my protocol, that is a Word document, similar to the PDF, has a title, it has an abstract, and there are the sections here with the steps. I can take the steps that I want to import to my PDF. I can copy them. And then in the editor, I select Insert Steps from Text. A window will open. In this case, each step is defined by a number. So each number is a step. I paste my text. And then the steps in my Word document have been transformed into the steps of the document. I can copy the name of the title of the section. I can create a new section. Copy the following steps. And now I added the 2 extra steps. I can delete this step because it's empty. And now I have transferred the steps from my text file, my Word document, to my protocol. Now, if I go to view it, you will see that now it accepts comments at the step level. It can be copied and run. And as a previous document, it can also be published because it is a protocol created with the editor. So let's go back to the file manager. You see now that I have the 4 documents that I imported directly in their original format, and these 2 protocols that we just created. Now, let's play a little bit with the editor. So I'm going to open this protocol, this one. I'm going to go to the editor. And let's use components to give a structure to the protocol. As you can see, the first step, it's a recipe to prepare a buffer. I can select the volumes and, and mark them as amounts. And you will see why creating amounts is useful down the road. So I added amounts here. There's an incubation timer here, and I can mark it as a duration. And these 2 components are useful when running a protocol, and I will get to that in a minute. And there's a temperature. So I'm adding a lot of structure to my protocol. This is a concentration in percentage, adding a lot of structure. Now, if I go to the viewer, you will see the components here in my protocol. We have a duration, a temperature, we have volumes, we have concentrations. Now, if I wanted to run this protocol, I just click the run button. Every protocol with steps comes with a run button. I'm going to save the run in the same folder. I will start the run. And whenever there are amounts in the protocol, I can scale my protocol up and down. So if I wanted to scale the protocol 2 times, all the amounts will be automatically multiplied by 2. You can see it here, and it is a scale by 2. As you probably know, I can mark each step as completed. And now when I reach a step that has a duration component, the duration is actually a timer. So I can click start, the timer will start running down, and when it finalizes, it will let me know with a beep. Let's reopen, and you can see here the partial run record that is being saved as I run my experiment. I'm going to reopen this protocol. And I'm going to keep adding functionality to the protocol. You can create tables in the protocol. This is another recipe to make a buffer, let's say. So I can say reagent, volume in microliters, and this is 5x. So we can call it this reagent A, reagent B. We can say this is 35, this is 5. And then the tables accept formulas. So I can multiply B2 times 5, and it's been multiplied. You can see the formula here, and you can see the volumes. I can also bring a table from Excel or Google Sheets. So I'm going to create an empty table, and then I'm going to bring from Google Sheet the content. So here you see I created a table that already has some content. I can select the content. This is the amount. This is 10x. And this is a formula, as you can see here. I copy the content. I go back to the editor. I paste the content. And now the content has been transferred. However, you will see that the formulas weren't copied, just the values. To be able to transfer the formulas, sorry, you'll have to select View, Show, Formulas, and now what I see are the formulas. I can recopy these, paste it here, and now the formulas have been copied. You can see them here. We also have a functionality to add an actionable table during the run, and we call this the smart component. So if while you're running your protocol, you need to capture some values, you can use the smart component. Again, I open the components. I'm going to look for the smart component. And you will see that it looks like a table. So let's imagine that I'm running an experiment that requires me counting dead cells in a microscope field. So my first entry is going to be the total number of cells. And my second entry are those dead cells. I'm going to mark both entries as required. And I'm going to add the component, which you see looks like a table. And this is important while running a protocol. So if I go to the viewer, again, I can run my protocol. Let's save it in the same folder. And now I can start running my experiment, marking each step as done as I completed them. I do the tables. And then when I reach the smart component, I cannot proceed. And the reason is that I need to enter the values that I captured during my experiment. Once I enter the values, let's say I counted 450 cells, of which 147 cells were dead. Now I can proceed with my experiment and finalize it, finishing the run. So I finish the run. If I go to the file manager, I will see that this is the partial run record that we started previously but never finished. And this is the one that I just finished. And if I open my run record, I will see that it saved the values that I entered in the smart component. Let's go back to the editor. So I'm going to close this run record. And I'm going to reopen the protocol we've been working with. It is also very easy to insert images or embed videos. So I'm going to show you how to do both. Let's To insert an image from your hard drive or a video, you select Insert Image or Video. Now you browse your documents, and you can insert an image directly to the protocol from your hard drive. But you can also embed a video that was preloaded to YouTube. So I have a video here, which is a polymerase chain reaction explanation. You can see it here. To embed this video, I select Share, I select Embed, copy the code, go to my protocol, select Embed Media, a window will open, I paste the content, and now the video has been embedded and it can be played directly from the protocol as well. And the last functionality that I want to show you is conditional steps. Let's suppose that your step can branch out depending on the tissue you are working with, or the mouse line, or the bacterial strain, and that is called a step case. So I can add, instead of adding a new step, I can add a new step case, and that will allow me to bifurcate my protocol. Let's say that I work with different tissues. So in this case, it's cardiac tissue. The short name is going to be heart. And then I add my step case. And now I can add steps to that specific branch. This is heart, step 1, heart, step 2. Now I can add an additional case. Let's say this is lung tissue. I can just call it lung. Now I have two cases. Heart has 2 steps, lung has 0 steps, but I can add steps to the lung branch. Lung, step 1, lung, step 2, lung, step 3. Now I have two cases. I have the heart with 2 steps, the lung with 3 steps, and I can add a third one. I can call this liver tissue, liver, and so on. So I have many cases, and if I go to view my protocol, I will see that it has 2 sections. This is the table of content. And I will see the components here, the timer, the smart component, the image that I inserted, the video that I embedded, and the step case. And I can choose between the heart, the lung, or the liver. This is called the smart component. So we have created 2 protocols. Now let's talk a little bit about copying, forking, and versioning. To create a new version of any of these protocols, you can go to these 3 dots. I'm going to maximize it. And you can make a new version. Let's select in what folder to save the version. And I'm just going to change the title to make it clear. This is B2. Once you create a new version of a protocol, on top of the title, there will appear a toggle menu, and I can move between the two versions of the protocol, and I can even compare the two versions of the protocol. And we recommend versioning a protocol once you want to clarify or make improvements to that same protocol, but the purpose of the protocol remains the same. If I go now to my file manager, you will see in my folder that I have the original protocol and version 2. And these are two versions of the same protocol. Again, we recommend versioning when you want to improve or clarify steps in an existing protocol, but the purpose of the protocol remains the same. If you want to modify the protocol significantly to make it work for a different condition, let's say a different tissue or a different equipment, we recommend using forking. So I can take my original protocol and I can create a new copy or fork. So I'm going to create a fork. I'm forking my protocol, and you can see now that I forked this protocol. And there's an indication that this protocol was forked from a different protocol. If I open the fork, now I can go to any steps and change whatever I need to change to make it work in a new condition. And if I go to the viewer and I make any changes to my fork, I can always compare the original protocol to the one that was forked. In this case, they are identical because I haven't made any changes. Again, we created a version and we created a fork, and the forks always retain the line of credit. And you can always fork your own protocols, but you can also fork public protocols. So if I go and I look for any public protocol on a topic that might be of interest to me, let's say COVID, and I open any protocol, there is always the option for me to create a fork of that protocol for myself and optimize a public protocol. I'm going to go back to the file manager. And now let's talk about copying. Copying will create another identical copy of my protocol. However, the line of credit will not be preserved. You can fork any public protocol, and anyone can fork your protocols once you publish them, but copying is restricted to the authors of the protocol. If I create a copy of the original protocol, the line of credit will not be preserved. I change the title to add the word copy, and you will see that in this case, there is no indication that the comes from the fork. There is always the indication that the protocol comes from a different protocol, but not in the case of the copy. So we recommend using copies when you are, for example, putting together a few protocols for a submission, for a paper. They all share the same affiliation and funding, but the content of the protocol is different between those two copies. So you can create a template, create multiple copies, and you just go and then uh, tailor the content of each protocol independently the rest of them. Or optimization of an existing protocol, we created a fork, which is a copy that has been optimized for a different condition, equipment, tissue, cell line, and a copy, which we recommend to use when you have a template. Now let's talk about collection. If you want to submit several protocols as part of a single manuscript, for example, you can create a collection and publish the collection, and the collection will receive a DOI independently of the DOIs of each individual protocols in that collection. To create a collection, you select the New button, create a collection. I'm going to save it in the same folder. Now I'm going to search. You can search public protocols or you can search your own files. I'm going to search my files. And I'm going to select, make a collection with those protocols that we created tonight. So I'm going to start with the protocol 1, continue with protocol 2, add the version and the fork. Now you can see that my protocol has, the collection has all these individual protocols. I can sort the order, I can move them up and down. And now if I, in the description tab, I can add a title to the collection. I can add an abstract. And if I go to view the collection, I will see that the collection has 4 protocols. I can preview the protocols or open them independently of each other. And there will be an indication in each protocol added to the collection that this protocol now is part of a collection. If I decide to publish the collection will receive a DOI independently of the rest of the protocols. If my protocols haven't been published at the time of publication of the collection, the individual protocols will be automatically published and each of them will receive their own DOI. You have probably noticed that there are also additional buttons that says reserve DOI and post draft. Reserve DOI means that rather than making your protocol public and assigning to it a DOI, you just why the protocol is not public, but when you publish it, it will be published with the DOI that you have reserved. And posting a draft means that you will be making the protocol public without assigning a DOI to it. And the final topic that I would like to cover tonight is about inviting colleagues to your workspace. So I'm going to go again to my file manager. We talk about sharing. You might recall that I said that if I select any of my protocols, I can share it beyond my workspace. But all the protocols that I created tonight, they are accessible to the members of my workspace. If I go to the administration menu of my workspace, I will see the members of my workspace. There is only one member. If I want to invite more members to join my workspace, I click the invite button and I can type their email address and they will receive an invitation to join my workspace and they will automatically have access to all the documents and folders saved in that workspace. I can customize the permissions that my colleagues in that workspace will have on the protocols that I have created there. If I go to file access setting, I can control what these colleagues of mine that have come and joined my workspace can do with my documents, such as sharing files outside the workspace or publishing or removing files. So I can restrict that to the members as well. So we talked about creating protocols, bringing protocols, a little bit about some of the most useful components. We talk about forking, copying, versioning, creating collections, and bringing colleagues to the workspace. And at this point, I will be happy to take any questions if you have. Remember that the presentation is being recorded and the recording will be shared with all registered participants. If you don't have any questions now, you can always reach out to me in the future at gabriel@protocols.io. I'm going to stop the recording in case anybody wants to ask a question of the record.